Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about season 1 of Charmed, and was it wasted? To give a disclaimer, because I usually do before I get into the discussion, Charmed as a series in my opinion was not wasted, but the show did constantly do one bad thing after another. And I'll say, the biggest mistake the creators did was call this show Charmed. In my opinion, Charmed did nothing to really capture the essence of its past predecessor. If the creators would have let this show be its own thing, there would have been less hate from the jump. The first section I want to start off with is the acting. For the most part, all the actors did good with what they were given with. Some gave a memorable performance and some didn't. The actors who I think put on the best performance is Harry, Macy, Fiona, and Maggie. To me, those four put on a performance that really stuck with me. Now I'm going to tell you who in my opinion Justin put on that good a performance, and it's not because of bad acting, it's just when put against everyone else, they didn't really bring it in my eyes. And the actors who I think didn't do a really good job was Mel and Parker. I don't know what it was about these two, they just felt weak to me. Now in season 2, Mel did do tremendously better, but Parker not so much. I'm going to start off with Harry. He had a good mentor role in the storyline. You can see his love for the girls never wavered. From the first season, the writers really made Harry feel like he was a part of the family, and I really commend them for that. And Harry was already a good character, but when they tacked on his true backstory, his character development skyrocketed. We were really delving into Harry, and we discovered he's done some pretty bad things in his past, but we can overlook it because we know who he is in the present. And if there was one bad thing I have to say about Harry, it's that he's not that good of a white lighter. Tessa was a way better white lighter than Harry ever was in my opinion. She actually pushed the girls to learn new spells and learn more about their powers. The next character who I want to talk about is Macy. And if there's one thing I have to admit, Macy had the best ongoing storyline in season 1. But what I really liked from Macy is that you knew what you were getting from her. You knew you were getting a character who was abandoned by her mother, so she carries a crippling fear of being abandoned again by her newfound sisters, whilst trying to balance her human and witch life. And after all that build up throughout the series, it all paid off when she became the Source. I feel like her becoming the Source allowed her to finally close that chapter in her life, because she finally got confirmation that her sisters would never leave her like their mother did. Next up is Maggie. Maggie started off as an amazing character in the beginning. She was a typical party girl and I want to fit in so I'll do whatever it takes type person. And it was enjoyable to watch. You learn that Mel has been pushing her away ever since their mom died, so she finds comfort with the Kappa girls. And in a few episodes, she instantly grew to be my favorite character. Then on top of that, she was an empath. And one thing you'll learn about me is that I love mages with the power of empathy. But then she fell from grace when the writers gave her a romance storyline, and her character development and other storylines crumbled, and that's when she wasn't my favorite character anymore, because she was going crazy over this one boy that wasn't even worth it. Oh boy. Finally we have Mel. One thing I'll say is that her character was doomed from the beginning. She was supposed to be this politically woke, feminist LGBT character, and they really dropped the ball as hard as someone could. Now I'll give the writers some credit. The only thing they did right was her being gay. It felt normal and not like they were trying too hard, and her relationships felt very realistic. But all her feminist and woke dialogue felt very forced to me. And disregarding what I said previously, her storylines in general were so forgettable. But at least there's a silver lining. She, in my opinion, became the best sister in season 2. If there was one word I'd use to describe Charm's main villains, it would be versatile. With each villain having different motivations and backstories, allowing them to bring something various to the table. First up is Alistair Kane. He wanted to raise the source of all evil so he could cause chaos and mayhem, so he tried grooming his youngest son Parker to be ready to take up the mantle. And he treated his older son Hunter like a soldier, so that he needed to do whatever it takes to get the job done. And Alistair does many things behind the scene that allows his plan to come to fruition. Now on paper this sounds intriguing, but in the show, it just wasn't as interesting as the writers think it was. And one thing that didn't help is, when the source was finally risen, he turns into this bumbling servant than the all-powerful demon we've grown to know him as. Next up is Charity. Charity is revealed to have been the one that killed Marisol and some elders, so throughout the series up until it was revealed that Marisol was killed, She was seen as a mentor figure, so it was shocking to everyone that she could do something like this, mainly Harry seeing as they were lovers. Now I'll play devil's advocate and say I understand what she did with killing Marisol because she had just found out that her friend was dabbling with necromancy and brought her daughter back to life, and she was scared something cataclysmic could happen. So she thought she was doing something for the greater good. But as we all know, it turns out to be a load of BS because she tried to cover it up. Finally, we have the Smoke Brothers. I only liked Hunter as a villain because every time he was on screen, he actually posed as a threat and he outshined his brother and father in so many ways. But Parker has to be the worst villain on the show. The build-up was terrible, and when it was time to show off his villain persona, I was left unimpressed. And we're on to my favorite, Fiona Callahan. I was so happy to see the actress Leah Pipes play her because I loved her in the originals and I always pictured her as a witch. Now, Fiona was an immortal witch with not omnipotent powers. She was chosen by the elders to be the keeper of the sacred flame, thus also making her the steward of the source of all evil. She was in the near future was sent to Tartarus because of her close connection with the Sarkana. She was eventually freed and had a vendetta with magic and sought out to destroy it, thus putting her in direct conflict with the Charmed Ones, which led to her death while summoning the flame. Now I don't know about you guys, but to me, that was the best ongoing storyline the show had. And I'll say what I haven't seen people admit to themselves, but Fiona carried season 1 on her back. No one in the show did it like she did it, so I'm kinda still bitter that the writers decided to kill her off, especially since she had so much potential. Where I would have taken this character is, I would have made her into an anti-hero. Let her fail at destroying magic, but her hate for it doesn't go away that easily. But she could also realize how magic could help people than just hurt. The special effects and CGI for the magic in the show is amazing. It beats out a lot of its counterparts. Now onto the actual magic. I love it. I have to say I like it more than the originals. I like how the show became more diverse with its magic and spells. The show touched on different kinds of magic from different parts of the world. Also, I like how the show changed how some spells you have to say a different language than just rhyming. And I like how there is basically a spell for anything. It makes sense. My favorite spells this season were the fumigation spells, the charm light spell, the spell to unlock anything, and I like the spell where it holds someone for 30 breaths. There is one thing I'll say that I don't like about the magic, and this goes for the original too, is that basically witches only have one power. In my opinion, every witch should have the power of telekinesis. That's just basics for me, but that could just be me. And to be honest, I only like Maggie's passive power, and that's because it was a change from what we already saw in the original, and I'm a sucker for telepathy and empathy. To give my end thoughts, I had to ask myself a few questions. Does this show give me the same nostalgia feeling as the original? No. Does this show does anything to pay the respects to the original? No. Should this show be called Charmed? No. But is this show amazing if you can disconnect it from its previous predecessor? Most definitely. Because not once was I ever bored while watching this show. It had a very good plot, some good characters, and the magic was magical. You guys should definitely check out the show.